Hey Disney cruisers, and welcome back to the DCL community, where we are here to help you plan, prepare for, and get excited for your Disney cruise. You guys know me, I'm Rebecca, your host and admin of the DCL community. And today, parents, we are talking to you so that you can get your kids excited for a cruise vacation. We are talking all things kids clubs and services across the cruise lines. So yes, we know that we love Disney Cruise Line, and Disney Cruise Line is great and wonderful, but there are also some things that I am even surprised to learn about across the cruise line industry. So I'm excited to get into it. Let us know where you're watching from so that we can say hi. But Crissi, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me again, Rebecca. I love being part of these kind of monthly little videos that we do. I'm Crissi O'Kane. I am one of your recommended travel agents with DCL Community. I love being part of this community. And I specialize in family cruising. So if it floats, I love it. I'm all about it. But now, really, we used to be an adults only. We still are for the next couple months. But now that our family is growing, I'm really looking to really highlight the exceptional offerings available on board all cruise lines, starting with Disney Cruise Line. And one of the things that makes cruising so spectacular is Kid Club services on board. And I can't wait to kind of really go through the nuts and bolts of each different cruise line so that your family is kind of matched up with the perfect fit for you.
Yes, because I know this is gonna come as a shock, but not all kids are the same. Not all kids want the same thing, and that's okay. So I'm excited to get into it. We have some friends watching from Pittsburgh, some friends from Michigan, somebody from Nevada. Hello. Thank you guys for being here. And let us know if you have any questions. And as we're going through, if some of these things are sounding more interesting, you want more details, please reach out to Crissi. There's a link scrolling through on the bottom to her page on the DCL community site. She's here to help, and her planning services are actually free for you to utilize. So let her help compare, contrast specifically for your kiddos so that they can have the best vacation. And maybe you can enjoy some adult time while they're enjoying the kid activities on board. But let's go ahead and dive into an overview of what kids clubs and what these services look like in the cruise line industry.
Yeah. So what is Kids Club? And so a lot of my first time cruisers, no matter what cruise line they're interested in, are like, what is this? Do I have to do this? Like, I don't get it. And really what I like to explain is it's like sending your kids to summer camp while you're on vacation. And for the most part, it's included. We're going to I have a chart about all the different breakdowns on every line. But for the most part, it's included, most of them ages 3 and up. Some little bit of variation there, but most of it 3 and up included. And it's not mandatory, no, but where else? What other vacation do you get not only free babysitting, but free activities for your kids, right? They're not just sitting there with some high schooler watching them so that you can go out to dinner like you would if you were at a beach house and looking for a vacation, a babysitter on vacation, right? They are getting tons of hands-on activities, really immersive spaces, and they're with kids around their same age to help them kind of facilitate friendships while on vacation. It's so cool. But they're all a little bit different on each cruise line. And there are some that I think are really strong for certain types of kiddos, some that are really strong for larger families, some that are really strong for itty bitties. And I think it's important to kind of go through what each line offers and find the right fit for you. It's also one of the first conversations that I have with somebody that is an avid Disney cruiser that is looking to try something new. One of the first things we talk about is how much do you use Kids Club? What do your kids like about Kids Club? So that we can make sure that they're still getting the things they like, even though they will not be getting Disney characters.
Yeah, such good points. I know we'll get the question of, do kids actually use it? And well, every kid is different, and maybe your kid isn't going to gravitate towards it. I would say for the most part, kids are like, I don't want mom and dad, or mom and mom, dad and dad. I don't want anybody to come pick me up. Leave me here as long as possible because I'm having the time of my life in Kids Club. And if your kid isn't like that, that's fun too. But let's kind of break down the overview across these cruise lines of what people can expect service-wise.
Awesome sauce. So I focused on these 5. These are the 5 cruise lines that are marketing themselves as family cruising. So there are Kids Club programming on Princess, on Celebrity, on many other lines, but these ones kind of advertise as a family cruising experience. So that's why we're going to focus on these 5. There are other options. I'd love to chat with you if you're like, I'm thinking about a more luxury line. Can I still bring my kids? Let's talk. Hit up my calendar. Let's talk. But these 5 are the big 5 as far as family cruise lines. And they all kind of offer something different. So I do have a slide for each cruise line that highlights what they offer that like nobody else does, because truly all of them have something. It's kind of crazy. But I want to go through the age breakdowns, because I think that is something really important that helps families make the best decisions for them. So across the top, we have Disney Cruise Line, the one that we're most familiar with. And we have our It's a Small World nursery for 6 months through 3 years old. And then the young kids in Oceaneer's Club and Lab start at age 3 as well. So 3-year-olds do have the option. They can go to either one, but they must be potty trained if they want to go to Oceaneer's Club. If they're not potty trained, they are still welcome at Small World Nursery. However, Small World Nursery, regardless of if they're 3 or if they're 6 months, does have an hourly fee. And you do need to reserve that in advance. Typically, there's also more time slots available once you get on board, but you want to make sure that you take advantage of those advanced reservations and online check-in or activity booking, for sure, so that you can have your ideal times. The other thing newly changed with Oceaneers is that it used to go up to higher, and now it's cut off at 10. And then there also is a separate group for the 3 to 5-year-olds. They kind of have their own little counselor and their own little thing going on inside those spaces. And then we have Edge for 11 to 14 and Vibe for 14 to 17. Really across the board on every cruise line, you will see that 17 is the maximum age, and this is a very hard limit. A lot of times that younger limit can be flexible. It's never a guarantee. Technically, the rules are the rules. There could be a million 14-year-olds, so they just really can't let any 13-year-olds age up on your specific sailing, even though last week they let all the 13-year-olds age up. You can't rely on that, but one thing you can confidently know is if your son or daughter is 18, they will not be allowed in any of the kids programming, with the exception of open houses, where everybody can go. And that is for legal reasons and protection reasons. And, it's a very important rule. So it is not flexible, and you don't need to be worried about it. There are events, like Disney has the 1820 Society. So there are events for that age group. They're just not like a dedicated space for them on board. And every cruise line's got that same kind of thing. They all call it something different. The young adults, the pre-drinkers, that 18 to 20 age group has something, but generally not a defined space. With Royal Caribbean, there is one really big difference, and that is the tween group. So Voyagers are 9 to 12, as opposed to not starting until 11, like at Edge, right? And I think this is really attractive to a lot of families coming from Disney Cruise Line. A lot of my families that are avid Disney cruisers but looking for something different, their kids are at that 9 to 10 age range where they're like, we've done it a lot. They've met their characters. They're good with that. They want something else. And it's really nice to be able to have them in a slightly older group, as opposed to still being with itty bitties. The team program at Royal Caribbean is also all one big program, and they have some of the coolest spaces. I'll show you them later. Technically, the program starts at 13. However, almost always ships do allow 12-year-olds. It really just depends on their capacity. But you'll see that each ship does have, some ships have 12 written in the rules, and some ships have 13. Generally, the largest ships, that Oasis and Icon class, will take 12-year-olds and up. These ships are newer. They have much bigger spaces. The smaller ships, the rules written at 13 because the space isn't as big. But generally, if you have a 12-year-old, you can ask and they can move up, generally. Another neat thing about Royal Caribbean that, it's just something to note. I wouldn't say it's neat, but their young kids are in separate groups. So your 3-year-olds to 5-year-olds have a group, and your 6 to 8-year-olds have a group, and they do not mix. They are not in the same space. The Adventure Ocean has tons of different rooms, very similar to Oceaneer's Club and Lab. And there is a dedicated space where these groups kind of meet up, and then their whole group may go to the science lab, or their whole group may go to the theater, or their whole group may go to the dance hall. But they are hanging out with their crew. They are not mix and matching. So your 8-year-old is not hanging out with your 5-year-old at all. So really, that is something for families to know ahead of time and keep in mind. With Carnival, the big difference there is that their young kids start at 2, which is super neat. So that can kind of help people out. That 2 and up is included. So really helpful. Also, their teen programming is split similarly to Disney's, instead of being one big teen program. And a lot of people kind of like that. And I can kind of understand. When you're 12 years old, hanging out with a 17-year-old might be a little bit intimidating. So Carnival does still separate them. Norwegian has really similar age groups to Disney. But one thing to note is that their nursery is parent supervised. There are a couple ships right now, just 2, that are kind of piloting a drop-off nursery, but the hours are super limited, like super, super limited. So you can go there and there's a space dedicated for playtime with itty bitties, that's 6 months to 3-year-olds, but you cannot leave them there. So just a note that that's a difference. And then MSC, really cool. 6 months and up, it's all included.
Ooh.
So I think that's really neat. Their, babies and toddlers program is included, and then their mini club and junior club and young club are. Mini club and junior club for the young kids are sponsored by Lego, and we'll see great pictures of that later on. Their tweens and teens club don't have that Lego like overhaul, but they're still really cool spaces. But MSC does also not have a 6-month minimum age requirement for sailings out of the U.S. that are shorter than 10 days. So you can bring like a 3-month-old, and they do have a space that you can go with them, and it's free. You can go there, but you can't leave them behind. So they have to be at least 6 months in order to be in the nursery care, but it's included, unlike all the other lines where this kind of preschool age group is not included. And that's the age breakdown. I will be posting this just as a photo into the Disney Cruise Line Facebook group and DCL community group, so you guys can have it. But also, this video does live on YouTube forever, so these ages could change at any time. This is effective as of right now, today, July 9th, and it could change at any time.
Yes, it could change by the time we get off of this, and that's why working with Crissi is so important, because she can keep you in the loop. And we have a couple questions. Mike is asking, why do they charge for the nursery?
Yeah, well, because they do. I don't know. I think possibly the staff ratio to kids to staff, it's much lower, right? So there's a lot more staff in the nursery. It's a lot more hands-on. They're feeding them, they're diapering them. And also, they have to charge in order to not have it exceed capacity too. So, if it was free, maybe you'd have tons and tons and tons of itty bitties on there. I don't know. MSC seems to be able to do it. So maybe it could change in the future if they're super successful with it. But yeah, I don't work for the cruise lines, unfortunately, so I can't answer that 100%. But I can tell you that, in my opinion, it's to reduce demand, keep things to a more minimal schedule, and also to accommodate the fact that the staff ratio is so low. There's usually about 4 or 5 staff in the Disney nursery, and it can only really take 4 or 5 kids, so it's almost one-on-one.
Yeah, that dedicated care is so important, especially at that age. And I know a lot of times we'll get the question of oh my gosh, what if something happens and my kids need me? They do such a good job of communicating. I'm sure it's the same across all the cruise lines, but they do the counselors are truly amazing. And that additional level of care that you're getting when your kids are that young, on Disney, I'm sure we'll go over it, but it's a minimal charge for you to be able to go and enjoy those spaces.
Yeah.
And then Morgan is saying, my kids love to spend time together, worried that they're not going to want to be separated. Any advice?
So that's why it's really important to kind of talk through and know ahead of time, right? So imagine getting on board and not realizing that your kids would be separated, and it's a shock. But if you know about it ahead of time and explain it ahead of time, they're going to make new friends, promise. And also, this is just for in the kids club, right? So if you're talking about Disney Cruise Line, there is open house where all ages can go. Adults can be there. They're all together. So if they want to play in that space together, they can during open house, which is every day, right? Long session on embarkation day. And then there's 1 hour every single day. So you do have to be mindful, check the navigator to know when it is. If you're looking at one of the other cruise lines, there's generally open house on the first day as well, but it's really more designed for you to go and register them. You don't register them in advance on most other cruise lines, like you do with Disney. But it's still open house. Parents are still around and there, but it's really not designed for that. And there's generally not that many open houses throughout the whole sailing. There will be some events, like when the kids put on a puppet show, the parents get to go watch, that kind of a thing. But for the most part, the kids are separated and they're kept that way. And really, I think as long as you prepare them ahead of time so they know, you will still have a really successful sailing, but you need to kind of make sure that they know that ahead of time. And also, one of your kids might love it more than the other. Disney Cruise Line, is probably the most generous as far as the hours that the kids club is open. We're going to talk about that on each slide. Other cruise lines are really geared towards you guys having family friendly time all throughout the ship, and not as much time with the kids spent in kids club. It's mostly designed to be kind of structured and targeted so that you have this break and the kids are doing this activity, and then you're all together as a family in all these amazing family activities on board all throughout the ship.
Awesome. That's such a great explanation. And if you need more advice there, definitely reach out to Crissi. She can help you plan and provide resources accordingly. But let's dive into Disney Cruise Line. I know a lot of people are probably like,
yes. So really, Disney Cruise Line is honestly one of my top recommendations for adults only families, because while it really attracts kiddos, you barely see them because they're in the kids club the whole freaking time.
That's a good point.
And so, and the reason for that is because it's unmatched theming. And truly, you'll see that other cruise lines have partnerships with this or that, but they don't even try to compete with Disney on this. Like the partnership is like, there's some decor, maybe there's one themed meal or something like that. They're not trying to compete with Disney on this front because they know that these characters are characters that just identify with kids and families through generations. And the immersive theming, you'll never find, arts and craft with Anna and Elsa on any other ship, right? Like this is, on any other fleet. It's on multiple Disney ships. But so really, I think that is a highlight of Disney. They do have top-notch counselors, highly trained development and safety. You'll see this on every cruise line. But they also are looking for that family connection. So like I said, there are open houses every day where parents can come in and be part of the activities with their kids. And I think that's something really important to remember with Disney Cruise Line, that even if your kids are there all day, because it doesn't really close until super late at night, even if your kids are there and you're just dragging them out to, give them some food from Cabanas and then let them go back, there's still things for you to do in the kids club with them.
Yeah, so such a good point. Yeah, you get that balance of family time and the kids can have their own time too.
Exactly, yes. All right, so Royal Caribbean's Kids Club is called Adventure Ocean, and its highlights are the hands-on activities. So whereas Disney is much more about storytelling, creativity, and also letting kids kind of explore on their own, Royal Caribbean is much more structured. Royal Caribbean is not open like close to 24/7. Every ship's slightly different and each itinerary is slightly different. But in general, you can expect on sea days, a morning session, an afternoon session, and an evening session. And these are each about 3 hours. So you might have like a 9 to 12, and then a 2 to 5, and then like a 7 to 10 or something like that. And during those times, the kids club is open, and you'll see from 9 to 12, it's morning session, and there's science group and theater group and sports group. And you can pick one, and you can go between all three, do whatever you want, but it's not just come and sit in this space and do whatever you want. It's very structured. And this really helps the kids to make friends that have the same interests as them. And they really get to kind of it's self-guided. Another thing that's really neat about Royal Caribbean, especially on the newer ships for the younger ages, is there are no screens. It is a really focused on play and gross motor movement, and just there are all kinds of cool climbing spaces inside. They're really neat. But like I mentioned, it's not open all the time. So you do have those sessions. Kids can come and go. They don't have to show up right at 9 o'clock. But a lot of families really like it. Families that have not cruised on Disney Cruise Line, where they just come and go whenever. Families that are used to this are it's like I drop my kids off at preschool. It's the same thing. I have 3 hours and I understand how that works, and it just matches the home life really well. It also matches all the entertainment on board. So you'll find that from 9 to 12, there aren't that many things happening elsewhere around the ship for that kind of preschool age group, because almost all of them are in kids club. But then in the afternoons, they had lunch, and now it's family fun fest at the boardwalk, right? So all these things kind of just really match with the hours that kids club is available. Generally, late night options, Adventure Ocean does stay open late, so kids can keep having fun while their parents enjoy dinner or a show, but this does have an additional fee, whereas with Disney Cruise Line, open until midnight, no fees. But on Royal Caribbean, if you want that 10 p.m. to midnight, they're going to have a pizza party. They're going to have tons of fun in there, but it does have a minimal fee, usually about $10 a child.
Got it. Good to know. Oh my gosh. so much good on Royal. And someone's asking, are all the Royal ships the same?
Absolutely not. So there is variability. It does say that in a couple of spots in here.
Yeah.
There are very variable of what they have. They all have the same concept. So they all have Adventure Ocean. They all have the same age breakdowns, but the activities that are, included are variable. So the really brand new, bigger ships have bigger kids clubs, of course. The smaller ships have smaller kids clubs, but they still have that same, Aquanauts and Aqua Explorers and Aqua Tots, breakdown.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And then we have this question here asking about what language the kids club counselors speak. My kids don't speak English very well.
Gotcha. So generally, most of the kids, almost all of the kids club staff will be very fluent in English, and then they'll have multilingual staff as well. And that's something that if you tell your agent or you can submit a special needs request with Royal Caribbean ahead of time, depending on the language it is, that they can make sure that they can accommodate. Special needs accommodations are extremely common. And also I will tell you that Royal Caribbean and Carnival have special certifications in different accommodations that no other cruise lines currently have, which is pretty neat. And so generally you'll find that almost all of the kids club counselors speak at least 2 languages, one of them being English. So knowing ahead of time that, your child needs a specific language, whether, Spanish, German, Portuguese, French, whatever it is, we just want to report that ahead of time so that your child can have somebody comfortable to talk to.
Yes, and Crissi can definitely help with that as well. Let's go on more on Royal.
So there is a second page on Royal, just because, and really this applies to a lot of the cruise lines, but this is my big question from clients about why isn't it always open? That's what they're so used to on Disney Cruise Line, right? And the reason is that your kids want to be other places on the ship. And Royal's really designed to be a family ship all throughout the whole ship. So there are so many spaces on board because these ships are so massive that are designed for families, and they're designed for you guys to all be able to do it together as a family, and also for kids to be able to go by themselves. And now the 6 to 8 group, they do generally have there's a speed climbing challenge for ages 6 through 9. They're not expected to show up by themselves or anything like that, but it's they can know that the other climbers will all be their age, right? But at the same time, there is the teen takeover, and it's this teen speed challenge, right? And it will be just teenagers, and no parents allowed. They don't even watch me. I'm gonna go by myself. Yeah.
Too cool for school.
Really cool, innovative teen spaces. So the teen spaces are pretty much open 24/7. They just, as long as you have your cruise pass says that you're within the right age group, you can go in there. The bottom picture is the teen club on Odyssey of the Seas. They have their own little cabanas and stuff. It's insane, right? It's really nice. And they generally have an indoor lounge and also an outdoor lounge, and they generally connect. Really cool stuff. And also Royal Caribbean's Perfect Day at Coco Key is their private island, and that's also set up for families to have fun together as a family. So they don't need to have kids club open as much because there's just so much for the kids for them to do on board that it doesn't really make sense to have kids club open 24/7, because then they would constantly be having to leave to find you to go do the thing and then go back.
Yeah, good. Such a good point. Yeah, and some of these spaces just look incredible. And I know, especially the newer Royal ships, if you don't know this already, Crissi loves the mega ship. She's all about it. Mm-hmm. And some of the activities, what's it called? The wave.
Oh, the flow rider.
Mm-hmm. The flow rider. That thing just looks so cool. If your kids love adventure, and some of the things that you can do at Coco Key, whichever one that is. Yeah. I'm what do the commercials say? There's so much that I totally understand what you're saying here. It's not always open because there are these other options. Exactly. So that makes perfect sense. Oh my gosh, so much to do on board these ships. It's crazy. So much.
All right, let's talk MSC. So this one, MSC is a little bit of a new player to the American market, but they've been here quite a while now. So I think that they need to stop using that excuse. They're not new anymore. But they have some really cool things going on in Kids Club and also throughout the ship. These are also not as big as the Royal Caribbean ships, with the exception of MSC's newest ship, World America. It's rivaling Royal Caribbean's in size, but MSC's C-class ships, which is Seaside, Seascape, Seashore, Seaview, they're all kind of bigger than Disney Cruise Line, but not quite mega ships, but much bigger than Disney for sure. But they have so much on board, and they also have really cool things inside the kids spaces. So I'm really excited to kind of share that with you guys. So the first thing is that MSC has a partnership with Lego, and their kid spaces are really, really cool. There is free building, but there's also like Lego speed challenges every day for different age groups and just all kinds of cool stuff. So a mix of structured and unstructured. And there's also plenty of things to do that are not Lego, but the space is decorated, with Lego in mind. And then MSC also has a partnership with Chico Baby Equipment. Like I mentioned, their nursery is included, but you can also have all kinds of complimentary baby products in your stateroom for your sailing, which is so cool. Like things like a bottle warmer and a bouncer, and like just, there's just so much less that you would need to pack when sailing MSC with an infant. So if you're looking at sailing with an infant, reach out. My kiddos will be on MSC shortly for their first cruise. I'm very excited. But really neat. 2 different partnerships, 2 totally different kind of offerings, but really cool things. Their older teens have really cool vet lounges. I couldn't include a picture of everything, but just trust these lounges. Like, they look nice. They're very high tech. They got like VR games and stuff. And then MSC is a European cruise line, and it sails out of the US, but does still attract a very European market. So there are a lot of more late night activities. It's optional. You don't have to eat at 9 p.m., but you can if you want. And a lot of European families do that. So there is entertainment late in the evening. And because of that, Kids Club is open late in the evening. And they have their own dance parties and their own special things going on late in the evening. One thing that MSC offers that I don't think a single other cruise line does, I have not found it. If you find it, tell me, because I'm really interested. But they have excursions that are led by the Kids Club staff. So when you're at port, you have Kids Club staff that go on the excursion. And it's not just for the kids, like it's for parents and kids. And maybe they're doing like the ruins at Costa Maya or something like that. And so the whole family will be kind of led with the person from Kids Club. And then maybe, while you're at one of the spots where you can, take a dip in the underground caves, you can split up. And so the Kids Club counselors will keep the kids and do some history lessons, and the parents can go for a quick swim on their own and then come back to the group in like 30 minutes. So it's a really neat option. I've never seen it anywhere else, and I think that's really cool. And then again, they have their own youth foundation. So that's pretty neat, with a lot of environmental workshops and things. And then they have wristbands, and a lot of cruise lines have wristbands now. Okay. But MSC has figured out how to track your kid's location throughout the ship, and it's pretty dang darn accurate. Now, other ships say they do that too, but it's like not that accurate. MSC is very accurate. So you will know where your kid is anywhere as long as they have that wristband on. And then again, I'd just like to point out that these ships are very, very large. They have lots of activities on board. So this is actually my favorite pool, this bottom pool. This is on the MSC Seaside. And what I love about this spot is that it is so ideal for families, because it has, like, at the bottom right, you can kind of see it's got a slide that's really designed for like preschoolers. Then on the left, you can see the dark brown slide that's designed for elementary age. And then all throughout is the ropes course that's designed for kind of teens and adults even. And then throughout the rope course, there's these little like water cannons, so you can go and spray the little kids in the splash pad below. I've been sprayed so many freaking times walking through there. By somebody's teenager. But it's a really neat space. And this is not actually, there's also a separate like water park on board. This is just one of, they call this the like Aqua Park or something like that. So kind of taking all these things and combining them together makes a really cool family experience outside of the Kids Club as well.
Wow, that is incredible. And I really love that point about having that excursion option, because Disney has like
so neat.
The teen hideaway one where you can, I'm forgetting the name of it.
But it's not for the whole family, it's for like just the teens. Yeah. And this one's neat. It's honestly the only thing I've seen comparable is Adventures by Disney, which is like a whole different type of vacation. But they have like a junior adventure night where like the adventure guides keep the kids so the parents can go have dinner. And so, that's a totally different type of vacation. I've never seen another cruise line offer these kind of escorted shore excursions with included kind of child services in the middle. It's pretty cool.
Yes. And if you want to know more about Adventures by Disney, if you're curious about that one, definitely reach out to Crissi. They're incredible. And Michelle is asking, does this cruise line have the unlimited ice cream? My kid loves that about DCL.
Yes and no. So they do have unlimited ice cream. They have regular soft serve, and they have hard ice cream in the buffet. However, this cruise, like I said, is European. Specifically, it's Italian. So they also have a gelato shop on board most cruise lines. And just like how Disney Cruise Line has their fancy ice cream parlors, the Vanellope's one and the Zootopia one, The gelato shop is not included on MSC. It's an additional charge, but man, is it really, really good. But there is also unlimited ice cream, like regular soft serve and hard scooped ice cream, which not all cruise lines have.
That is awesome. And I'm with your kid. That's one of my favorite parts of cruising too.
Me too.
Oh, let's talk about Carnival. I know for Disney cruisers, there can be some hesitancy for whatever reason, but Carnival's got some awesome offerings.
They do have some awesome offerings, and there's some words of caution, but they do have some awesome offerings. And I think that, that it's just a matter of what appeals to you, right? So the first thing that I want to just like give a shout out to Carnival, because I feel like other cruise lines have just like forgotten the fact that we're like in the ocean and on the sea. And like these kids clubs are like themed to fantasy and adventure. And Carnival's like, dude, we're on the ocean. Like, so it's called Camp Ocean. And all of the different groups, there's the turtles and the penguins and the dolphins. And it's like the whole theme place looks like you're underwater. And I just think they did a really good job theming it, frankly. So I think that they need points for that. Another thing about Carnival, and this can be really appealing to families with littles or families maybe that have, 3 or 4 children, but their youngest isn't potty trained yet, is that Carnival does allow children to be in their free Camp Ocean and be in diapers as long as they are 5 or under and also under 50 pounds. So that can be a game changer for families that maybe, have a 4 and a 5-year-old and they've cruised a million times, but now they also have a 2-year-old and he's just not quite potty trained yet. And now all of them can go to kids club and they can all go to the same kids club. So that really does help, I think, a lot of families to kind of get, they might not be Carnival cruisers for life, but like for right now at this stage of our life, Carnival offers something that we can't get anywhere else. And it's going to make our cruise so much better because we can drop all 3 our kids off instead of having one that we have to, make special reservations and pay extra for and all this stuff. So I think that that's really important to acknowledge. And then they have really similar programming as well. They've got their crafts and science, and it is like more hands-on like Royal Caribbean's as opposed to just being free roaming. They also have a neat program that's a late night, like Night Owls program. And it does have a small fee, but this is like, again, like 10 p.m. to midnight. And it's very similar to what Royal Caribbean offers. They've got movies playing, and it's an optional program. But another thing that Carnival does that I haven't seen anywhere else, there are some, like Royal Caribbean and Disney both have a similar-ish option, but Carnival does actually take the kids to dinner. It's not every night, but you can drop your kids off in a reserved section of the buffet, which is open at dinner time on most cruise lines. Disney is the only cruise line I know of that still hasn't freaking opened their buffet for dinner after COVID, okay? I've got big gripes about it. But anyway, they'll go to the Lido buffet and they have a special reserved area where you drop your kids off and they have their own little kids buffet. And then parents can go and have dinner, on their own at the main dining room. So it's not actually in the kids club itself. And you do have to sign like a form about allergies and all of that stuff. And it's not offered every single night. So usually on a 7-night sailing, it's 3 or 4 nights. And on a 5-night sailing, it's 2 or 3 nights. But it's a great option for parents and it's totally included. Carnival is also partnered with Dr. Seuss and Build-A-Bear. And there are various programs throughout the sailing that are totally included. But the one that everybody, like there's a parade and there's a story time and a puppet show. But the one thing that everybody loves about Carnival and raves about is the Dr. Seuss character breakfast. It used to be green eggs and ham themed. It is now like a birthday celebration for Thing 1 and Thing 2, and Cat in the Hat comes. And the only thing that I caution clients about this event is that it is typically only offered once, sometimes twice on a long sailing. It sells out so fast, and you don't know when it's going to be available to book online. It's like just this random date they decide to put it up available to book online. And then there's sometimes more spots on board, but sometimes not. So it's like you really can't book a Carnival cruise just for this breakfast because that's like how you get disappointed. It has to be a happy bonus on top of your Carnival cruise.
Love that. And is that an extra cost?
It is an extra cost, yes.
Okay, good to know. That is awesome, though. I did not realize they still do that. And I wish that's another thing. I wish that Disney would bring back their character breakfast from back in the day. Oh, man, missed opportunity, if you ask me. But no one does.
Exactly. Nobody asks us, and they should.
They should. What about Norwegian, though?
What about Norwegian? Well, there's a reason that Norwegian is last. I'm going to be very upfront about it. So when I'm having a conversation with a client, I ask if they plan to really use the kids club for kids younger than teens. If they say yes, or if they say their kids love Disney Cruise Line Kids Club, they never leave, then we're not even going to discuss Norwegian. Their entourage is their teen lounge, and it's exceptional. That's that bottom picture. That's the one awesome thing about sailing Norwegian is you almost, again, never see the teenagers because they are in their space, which is really nice. But the Splash Club, which is what Norwegian calls their kids club for ages 12 and under. Again, like I said, for the nursery, you can't drop them off. And then for that ages 3 to 12, hours vary by ship, and you won't know them ahead of time. Generally, right now, almost no ships have it open on port days at all. And if they do have it open on port days, it's like very minimal, like 9 to 12. Or sometimes there's an extra fee and they can like have lunch there on a port day. It's super weird. And the scheduled programming is just a little bit like, it's just not quite as immersive and fun as other cruise lines, I think. They do have a pirate night and a superhero day and pajama parties, but it's not the same. Like, there's not as hands-on. They don't make friends as quickly. And like I said, the hours are like not posted until you arrive, and you'll get an email usually about a month before sailing with like reminders of how to register when you get on board. And the hours vary, and it's just not consistent. So it's not my top pick if the kids club is your thing. If you are like, actually, we like to all hang out as a family and we want to do fun things on the ship, look at that top picture. Look at how much there is to do on the ship.
That looks
and
incredible.
This doesn't even show the go-karts, you know? So not all the Norwegian ships have go-karts, but a lot of them do now. It's a popular thing that they've added. And there's pools for all ages. There's water slides, there's games. Norwegian has the concept of freestyle cruising, which I think is part of why the kids club is set up the way it is, where you like don't have assigned dining time. You just go eat where you want, when you want to eat. There's no reservations, and it's just kind of very free flowing. And so because of that, it's hard to like accommodate that with kids club. So you just bring your kids everywhere. All the entertainment is, not all of it. There are some areas that are for adults, but there's, the entertainment is mostly family friendly. And the idea is that your kids are with you for the most of the time. If you're a big kids club user, this is probably not the first cruise line that I would recommend.
Okay, that is such a good point. And as someone who loves the water park, I could go. That looks ideal. But if your kids are gonna use the kids club and they're gonna enjoy that amenity, there are other options. And we have a bunch of questions coming in, so keep sending your questions, and we will get to them after what I'm assuming is bonus slide.
Yeah. So what if you have like a lot of kids? And, this could be just, there are some families with a lot of kids. That's amazing. Let's figure out how best to accommodate you. There are some cruise lines with better stateroom options for larger families than others. But more so, I've been booking a lot of groups, like sports teams or neighborhoods all going, and graduation, right? So like a whole class coming in. So there's like 20 to 30 kids. What's the best line for this? And it truly is a tie right now, in my opinion, between Disney and Royal with what works for most people. And it's kind of two types of group cruisers. So Disney is perfect for like, we all want to sail together, but like, we don't necessarily want to be together all the time, right? Like, we want to have our families on board, and their family is on board, and their family is on board. And we all have the same dinner seating, but we're not actually seated together. But like, we all, we're in the same rotation and stuff, but we have our own private tables. And during the day, we might see them at the pool, we might not, and that's fine. And we might do some excursions with this family, we might do the next day with that family. Disney is perfect for that because it's super simple. If you are like, no, we're a sports team and we are in this together, and like all 40 of us want to be seated at dinner together every night, and so we can put the kids on this side and the adults on this side, Royal Caribbean is the right for you because they have the spaces to accommodate that. We can, depending on how large of a group you are, you could have your own hour at the Flow Rider where it's like just your crew, like all kinds of different things that come with groups. So group rates can really come with a lot of additional perks. There's like rumors that Disney doesn't have group rates. That is like so false. So, reach out if you want to kind of explore that. You typically only need 8 rooms to make a group and get some group rates and group perks and like all kinds of stuff. But if we grow even more than that, even more perks come with that. And you can have such an amazing time with like your own kids club on board.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that is such a good point. And especially if you're that parent in the group that always ends up coordinating everything for everybody, you don't want to worry about everybody's flights and everybody's transfers and everybody's travel insurance. Reach out to Crissi and let her help you with that so that you can actually enjoy your vacation. I know what a concept, right? And So a bunch of questions coming in. Which
Goodness.
cruise ship would you recommend for Alaska with kids? Or I guess
Like,
probably
so
cruise line because there's so many
yeah,
ships.
I would say let's talk about cruise line. Again, it's going to depend a little bit on a few factors on the kids' ages. Like, is it important to you that they're all in the same age group? But really the big thing with Alaska that you want to look at before we talk about cruise line is itinerary. If you are, Alaska is, this is the only time we're going, we really need to see Glacier Bay, then we need to look at, a ship that goes there, and that's probably going to be either Norwegian for all the activities on board for kids, no great kids club, but lots of activities on the ship, or we'll look at Princess. Not as much like structured kids programming, but really cool things that are unstructured, like the National Parks Junior Ranger program, all kinds of cool stuff. If Glacier Bay is not important to you, then let's look at a simple itinerary that's round trip. And Disney has one out of Vancouver, and now they have 2 ships doing it. Royal Caribbean has either Vancouver or Seattle. That can make a really big difference for some families, being able to sail out of Seattle instead of Vancouver. So I would say first, let's chat itinerary. So hop on my calendar, let's chat itinerary, and then I'll match up with the best ship for sure.
Love that. And we have this question from Matt. Does Royal have a kids club on their private island?
So they have a kids area. They don't have like unsupervised, like drop your kids off like at Scuttle's Cove. But then also the kids club is open on the ship when you're at Coco Key. So there is that option too.
Good to know. And then my kids are really shy, worried about dropping them off in the kids club.
So I would
not
say,
really a question there, but yeah, what do you
if you're
think?
sailing Disney Cruise Line, and I work with a lot of families on this, is to take advantage of that open house. So open house is 9 to 12. Show up at 9 or 9 to 10. Show up at 9:50. Walk your kids in, get them set up, and then you have about 10 minutes to hang out, and then tell them when you're coming back. Right? I'm just going to get a coffee. I'll be back to check in on you in about 15 minutes, and I bet you in 15 minutes they're going to be just fine. And you're going to be able to go and continue to enjoy the rest of your day. On other cruise lines, that open house isn't as frequent, but parents can still walk in, drop them off. You can still talk to the counselors, kind of set them up for success, know what things they like. So you're not just like, here you go, figure it out. Like, take them to the Lego area, take them to the stage where they can like sit and watch a puppet show, take them to the dance floor, or take them to the, there's a lot of kids that like are shy as can be, but you put them in front of a screen and they're good. So there's all these like interactive tables now in the kids clubs where they're like playing games on a table, and like little ping pong tables and stuff. Take them over there. Whatever area is going to help them start out successfully, walk them to that spot and then leave.
Love that advice so much. I'm definitely stealing that, and I will have to quote you every time that I use it. And then this is a good question. So my kids are aging out of Oceaneer's club, worried that they're going to be bored in Edge. Would you stick with Disney, or would you try another cruise line? Some of these actually sound really good for the teenagers.
Yeah, so let's chat about what they're interested in. I think with Edge, there's a lot of kids that are need a little bit more than what Edge is, right? Edge is a hangout space, but Edge is not necessarily a hands-on activity kids space, right? And so if you want to go to a ship that has more about those activities, you may be looking at a ship where they're not necessarily in the teen lounge, but they have access to it on board, and you don't necessarily have to go with them. They can go to the arcade, and they can go to the bowling alley, and they can go to the rock wall by themselves too. They'll meet up with a bunch of other teens on board and do all those things. So that's what will happen. I guarantee it. But let's chat about it. I do think the Edge is an awesome option. But I typically do notice on Disney Cruise Line that you see that 11 and up age range kind of hanging out with their parents more, coming to Kids Club Open House more, in Oceaneer's lab. And so it's not, I think, for every 11 to 14-year-old, but it is really good for those kids that just want social connection, and don't really care what the activity is.
Yes, good one there. And then Jamie, this is a good question. I know I've heard this one before, and I'm sure you have too, but really frustrated with Disney's options stateroom wise. I have 3 kids, and I don't like having to buy 2 staterooms. Are any other cruise lines better for families of 5?
Yeah, so with Disney, you do have the deluxe family sized rooms. So you could do all 5 of you in one room. Other cruise lines do have different room type options. Royal Caribbean has rooms that sleep 6, and they have like kind of a main bed, a pull-out couch, and then a little bunk bed nook. And these are called the ultra spacious rooms, and they come in interior, ocean view, and balcony. And then they also have the family suites, that are on their ultimate family suites. Ultimate family suites on the new Icon class ships that are the same layout, like bed, couch bed, bunk beds, but the bunk beds, instead of being stacked, they're like perpendicular. You can see my hands that they're like perpendicular to each other, and they have their own little TVs and their own little like reading nook in there. It's,
That's
very family
cute.
So they do have those rooms at Sleep 6 as well. Carnival has some family size rooms as well. And then there's also the option of combining rooms, and that's pretty much true on any cruise line. Almost everybody has connecting rooms at this point. And then you can also look at MSC. Price point is significantly lower than other comparable cruise lines. So that can make a fancy pants, suite, like a 2-bedroom Araya suite, seem more affordable because it's comparable to a regular Disney cruise line veranda room.
So there's definitely some comparing and contrasting that you can do. And then somebody's saying, did you say that you're taking your newborns on a cruise?
Yes. Oh my gosh. So I haven't booked it yet because I want them to be born healthy. So, if we end up in the NICU for a while or something like that, then plans will change. But they will be sailing on MSC World America as soon as I deem them healthy enough, hoping for it to be over New Year's. They'll only be 3 months old, but they will have all their, shots by then. And these kids are going to be living on a cruise ship as soon as possible. And also we're starting them as young as possible. And I am so blessed to be in the career that I'm in and be able to work remotely. So they will be traveling a lot, and we'll start them as soon as we can.
Oh, okay. People are loving that. I love that too. I'm like, I wish I was starting cruising. I mean, think about their, cruiser status by the time that they're.
Oh my gosh, I know. I'm like actually a little bit annoyed because like I didn't start cruising until I was, for my first cruise with my honeymoon. My husband's cruised like the whole freaking world with his parents, so he has way higher status than I do, and I'm the one that's a travel agent. So now my freaking kids are going to inherit my status. It's like, just good for them. Yeah. I'm also like, man, I
know. Do you know how good you have it?
Yeah, exactly. I hope they know how good they have it. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, well, they have the coolest parents. And if you want to be a cool parent too, just like Crissi here, reach out to her. Let her help you plan your vacation, because the fact of the matter is there's a lot of options. And what your kids need, what you want from your vacation too. Don't forget, you matter in this.
Yeah,
I know you want your kids to be happy. But there's, things that, places that you want to travel to. There's experiences that you want to have. And maybe Disney has that, or Royal has that. Mm-hmm. Maybe take a kid-free vacation and go on Virgin, let's throw that in there. There are so many options. So again, like we said in the beginning, her planning services are free for you to utilize. Reach out to her. Let her help you plan your vacation. Crissi, thank you so much for this. This was awesome. We'll get the link to your page on the DCL community site in the comments for everybody. And yeah, I'm just excited to hear which cruise line more people start to book. Obviously, I love Disney and it's great, but since there's so many options out there, I'm curious to see if more people start branching out into other cruise lines too. But thank you so much for hanging out with us, and we will see all y'all on board real soon. Bye, guys. Yeah.